gone through some of the material, you have heard from lot of us. Is there any thought, lingering thought in your mind which you will like to discuss? There should be some reflection, some thought. Otherwise, if you are just taking in, it will be after 5 days we will forget everything. What is it that you found interesting, most interesting, which you never knew before, right? Obviously, madam's talk many things, none of us knew anything before, but maybe a quick summary, and people who have not talked. Now we have realized I am a friendly person, I am not that some alien that you need to be afraid of me, so you can try to speak up. People who have not spoken. Anything which comes to your mind?
The thing which I like the most is how we recycle the product into the such like yes in the yesterday classes we saw that how the waste material of steel can be converted into different products. So right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something which is very beneficial.
Okay. There are many examples. Actually, in India, historically, if you have seen have our mothers thrown away anything in our kitchen, everything is recycled and reused, right? So when people in Bengal, they will know. So we also use something called a katha, which is a sari, and the part of the sari being converted, and children use it. So there are so many ways. We have been doing, we never called it circular economy, but we have been using. But there are also very interesting studies. I showed you in the first day the fishing net one, which I really like. It's a real problem, right? Fishing net, even in India, there must be a lot of fishing net discarded. People from Odisha, West Bengal, we always see this. But have we done anything like this? No. So there may be some opportunities also for you to think of, that there can be business around that, recycling and making material out of it. But I have seen even in Pune and other places, there are companies, you have seen many of this. So they are converting, I have seen, they collect all the chips packets, and they finally unthread it, take it back,
So
make
one
it to.
company is there in Kolkata itself, Blintix.
Okay.
They collect all, but they are only working in the Newtown and Salt Lake area.
Yeah.
So they are taking the plastic bags, just that they say that don't cut it in a
Yeah.
absurd manner,
Yeah.
proper manner, and they will be collecting
Yes.
it. They give all the packs to put it in, and they
Yeah.
take it, and again they give a bag to
Okay.
refill it.
I will try to find examples. Maybe tomorrow I will show. I'm forgetting the name of the company. So they make lot of handicraft products, purses, many things out of those only chips packets.
Yes.
So this is very, lot of things are already happening in India. Anything else?
So we also ma'am told about multi-dimensional poverty index.
Ah.
So it was a something new concept.
Yes.
Because every time we'll like just know poverty, BPL and APL.
Yes.
So this was a completely a new concept, and it's like how the government takes steps in the initial stage, and what are the things we learn from that.
Yes.
It's not only sustainable development goals what we see on the paper, and
Yes.
it's the
It's
reality
not
is
just
something.
the 17 goals, right? There are so
Yeah.
many things which go behind it.
Yeah,
That is
so
interesting
it's
for us to
something
know.
else we'll learn, the internal work, how they work,
Yeah.
and all those things we learned. So it's quite interesting for us to have ma'am on the stage, and
Yeah.
she presented everything very nicely to have a more idea about the government works.
Yes.
Because sometimes we'll feel, अरे ये तो बस पेपर में है, कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. But really they are putting so much of hard work in that,
Yes.
and they are making us to
Yes.
know.
This
like-
also makes us that we should be more responsible. Government is trying whatever they can in their way, right? But if we are not responsible, then many of these things will not be implemented in real practice. Anything else, finally?
सर जैसे मैं डेयरी का स्टूडेंट हूँ, डेयरी टेक्नोलॉजी बीटेक इन तो डेयरी में जो भी वेस्ट वाटर निकलता है तो उसको पहले कहता था कि वो ट्रीटमेंट सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट करके डायरेक्ट फीड लिया किसी उस पर निकाल देते थे। अब उन्होंने क्या किया है कि जैसे सीएनजी गैस में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हैं, और मेन प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि जो भी चीज़ प्रोसेसिंग होती है तो वे वाटर जो निकलता है उसको डिस्कार्ड करने में बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है। तो अब प्रेजेंट टाइम पे इन्फेंट जो मिल्क पाउडर बनता है उसमें लैक्टोज के सब्स्टिट्यूट के तौर पे वो वाटर रीयूज कर रहे हैं, तो इस तरीके का
अच्छा, इसका कुछ असेसमेंट हुआ है? ओवरऑल कार्बन फुट वाटर कंजम्पशन कितना रिडक्शन और एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट, LCA टाइप का वी विल डिस्कस टुडे, वैसे कुछ एनालिसिस हुआ है?
सर अभी तो इसके बारे में मुझे पूर्ण जानकारी नहीं, लेकिन
हाँ।
जितना है
ठीक है, उसका भी पेपर वगैरह है तो देखो। वन इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जांपल डेयरी का पता है, यूरोप में दूध भी वेस्ट भी बहुत होता है। कोई भी चीज़ उधर खाना सब लोग ले लेते फिर खाते नहीं पीते, दूध भी वैसे वेस्ट होता है। प्लस ऐसे दूध तो फट जाता है, दैट वी ऑल्सो नो। एक कंपनी है जो दूध का इसका प्रोटीन से टेक्सटाइल फाइबर बना रहा है, सिल्क टाइप का मटेरियल बना रहा है, और वो मतलब बेच भी रहा है वैसे, मतलब दूध से टेक्सटाइल बन गया।
जो क्रीम सेपरेटर से स्लज निकलता है तो उसको दोबारा यूज करके वो कैसिनेट्स में यूज करके फिर वो टेक्सटाइल में यूज करते हैं।
अच्छा, ऐसा इंडिया में हो रहा है?
यस सर, वो अमूल डेयरी में, मतलब जो
अच्छा।
आनंद गुजरात में है,
अच्छा
वहाँ से वो स्लज लोड होके जाता है सर टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री के लिए।
अच्छा, वेरी गुड। ओके, सो वी विल प्रोसीड।
Sir, one request is that, I mean, up till now, everything is fine. I mean, what I liked is the open, kind of interactive thing. I was interested, maybe you have it in the next 2 days, something that there is a huge, e-waste generation today with, discarded hardware
Yeah.
and other components. Okay. And recycling it is also, I mean, somehow some example of what is being done in UK or,
Yes.
vis-a-vis, there are problems are different. I mean,
Yes,
in
yes.
India, it's different. But
Yes.
anything which related to that.
E-waste, okay. I'll find. I have
if-
some things. I've not put it in the slides, but good that you have mentioned it. I'll try to see. Good.
So regarding that also, there is one startup
Yes.
in Kolkata. There is Huladeck. Huladeck, what they do is they take the e-waste and from the computer parts, I don't know how they extract gold
Yes.
from
Yes.
there.
Even mobile, there are some
Yes,
few
yes, and this is
micrograms
what
of
they
gold.
are doing. So, but it's like not many people know about it. Just
Yes.
because I have delved into this startup system, so I know a little bit about it. But all the
Yes.
others, it's the problem is about that knowledge, awareness among the people how it can be done.
Yes.
I mean, we have a box of e-waste in our college, but hardly people come and throw their waste out there.
No.
One more thing is, like we had Flipkart and Amazon actually start off with refurbished mobiles.
Yes.
Okay.
That's there.
But that's there. But
But no
it
one
it is
prefers
not
that,
kind of that was the whole point of But the takers are very few in terms of that. I mean that.
So car app also related to refurbished car.
Yeah, yeah,
The car
Spinny.
decors and,
Spinny, yes, yes. Spinny and all those, they are doing that. They are creating it in the normal, I mean, not near normal condition, and they are selling it.
UK, at last I can say for e-waste, every household electronic gadget which is not working, in the local area there will be a place where you can go and put it. Normally there are public libraries. So public libraries we can go and dispose there. From there they have a full logistics system to take it back to the places. If there are heavy items, then we have to actually take it to a far off place and dispose. So what happens in that case, nobody wants to also do it. So they sell it off and give it to neighbors or whoever wants. So there is an informal economy which happens. Nobody wants to, because throwing off means if we by chance put it in the bin, we will be fined, right? And so one thing is we have to put it in the, either it's a small item like a mixture or something, then we give it to the library, they take it. If the large items, then we try to find out if somebody is willing. There are people who can, like in India also, there are people who can repair a lot of things, as I told you. Even if it's not working, somebody will take. You can put it on Facebook page, somebody will come repair and use it. Right? There are a lot of poor people, and there are a lot of people who don't want to buy new things, which is there. Unlike in India, a lot of people, there people use a lot of reuse things because they are not afraid of, there is no status consciousness that I have to buy new things. So people keep on using old things also. That
But
is
there
something.
are some risks also, health risks also, sometimes heavy metals and
Yes.
all those
Yes.
are there.
Hmm.
And yes, but this is something that is really interesting how
Yeah.
you are.
Sure.
That's what.
Okay, very good. So I will show you, we have been discussing lot of, these are again examples from, can we see the slides please?
Sir, I have a query.
There is a
Just
lag.
like we discussed that ki Amazon has takes initiative where they instead of plastic they provide that paper bag.
Yes.
So uh, I ordered a T-shirt, okay, few day ago, and in that order I got the the T-shirt in the
Paper bag.
that paper bag. But inside that paper bag, I even got that plastic, which is covered by the this T-shirt.
We
So
will
what's the-
actually show the example. Paper bag, if you do one-to-one comparison, actually the carbon footprint of the paper bag is worse. If we say that it's a virgin paper is actually from the tree, if it's a recycled paper, then it's same. Cloth is much better because we can use it
Yeah.
so many times. No, after 50, 60, 70 times, it will be similar, so cost wise and both carbon footprint wise it is better. But paper bag by default we cannot say it is better from the carbon, and on top of it again if they are using plastic, then
And
what is
instead
the
of
point?
plastic, we can also use that that kind of plastic, which is made up of the corn starch.
Ah,
That is also good.
okay. Yeah, the bio based polymers. Yes. So these are some examples. You will see. I have not studied so much of latest the Indian companies. I show you some examples. These are Danish companies, well known, but you will see the details of how this is many years. So this is already like 2012 or 13. They were reporting in their annual report itself the sustainability related measures, and these are, so there were no regulations. They are not supposed to mandatorily do it, but they were still doing. So resource consumption is easy, but even you will see dismissals due to unethical behavior. A number of in Ask Us is there, kind of mental health helpline, injuries, health and safety. Then suppliers in high risk countries, they have classified high risk, medium risk countries, how many people sign the contract in crude form, but still they were reporting lot of things, right? And this is a country will know that ethics is very high. One example I can give, very senior medical professors in that country once was jailed, and they were jailed for few months because they had a very big project, and at the end of the project they had dinner in a fancy restaurant, and it was a proper research project, right? Public funded medical research, and the only thing wrong thing they did was they had dinner at the end of the project in a kind of little bit costly restaurant, and they were jailed. Can you imagine? That is the level of ethics in that country. That's why in this, so there are still dismissals happening due to unethical behavior, which we will be completely under the radar in our situation. That will not even be considered unethical. But in some small thing you do, if you even raise your voice against co-employees, they might be show caused. That is the level of ethics they have, and they report all of these also. Grundfos is another. You will see they are a little bit more manufacturing. They are pump. They is a pump company, so they have a little bit more. So they will. You will see again how many high efficiency circulator pumps are used. Energy consumption, water usage, fine. Employee development dialogues happened. Compliance workshops taken. There are some things which they are reporting. These are all mandatory disclosures. Then I also, this Novo Nordisk, as you know, this is a large company which makes all the insulin products. They are very well known. Now what they did, we have our students had done a project that time. So they had identified environmental, ethical and social sustainability risk in the supply chain. So they have created their own method to understand the risks of sustainability, and then they screened the suppliers based on that and create a risk map and everything. And then the ones which are high risk, they actually, as we are developing yesterday, the kind of development work. So high risk doesn't mean that we have to discard them, right? So they are valuable suppliers, but they are in whatever reason, either because of process risks or the location of the country may be problematic. So they were working very closely with them, partnership, capability building among key suppliers, but they did the work internally. to find out which are the high risk suppliers. Danfoss again, they had more of a, this was conflict minerals. Do you know what is conflict minerals? So all the minerals which are mined in conflict prone areas, right? So the biggest example is obviously now what is the material which goes in the battery? Cobalt, right? So all the battery, most of the material, cobalt, gallium, etc., all of these are mostly mined in Congo, and Congo is highly, it is not even a country, it is run by militant groups, and they control all the mines, and children as young as 5, 6, 7-year-old are working in those mines. Now none of these are approved even proper mines, they just kind of dig and they find cobalt and those kind of material. And we are saying so much about electric vehicles, but 80 to 90% of that cobalt which goes in the batteries is coming from these mines. So then who is responsible? We are saying everything is sustainable. Maybe on the environmental side little bit better, but what about this social sides? And they are almost put at gunpoint to really mine, right? So then, and this is not just one, there are many such. So they ask suppliers to specify. If you ask most of the car companies, they don't know from where this cobalt or other material which is coming, right? So they still do not have, many of them do not have traceability. So by that time, they 2015 they had responded and they identified several hundred small smelter plants used in processing minerals which arrive from these conflict areas. They create a risk assessment only for those conflicts. But now there is a lot of work which is going on. So there is a battery alliance, in automotive battery alliance. So all these companies now got together that they cannot solve this problem on their own. So Volvo and others, and they have now tried to have as much of traceability of where all the metal is coming from. And the car has so many different metals, and battery is obviously the big example. So they are trying to have some traceability using blockchain, but this is still very difficult. If somebody wants to tamper and they don't give you the right data, then there is no point, right? But there is some initiative going on there. Now what I want you to do is, we will not have a lot of time, but maybe you know, try to find out one company or in India which is doing well and identifying some sustainability related metrics they are reporting, and discuss if anything do you think is missing. Let's spend some time. If you just rush through, then it will be fine. Even if you are not able to complete whatever I have, I can cover up in the next session. Try to see compared to what these Danish companies are doing. This is just an example. What is the level of reporting we are doing here? Right? It is still not fully mandatory, and if kind of what is they are doing on the environmental side, what are they reporting? I am still sure environmental side they might be reporting much better now, but social side we don't know. Right? Social side, even if they are, whether they are collecting any data, injuries and all, they will do that. They have been doing for many years. Safety has always been an issue, but other instances I don't know. So again, work in groups in tables and see. Just take, so Madam was mentioned, Tata Group obviously we know. If you take one of the Tata companies, that should fine. Unilever, whether it's greenwashing or no, at least they present a lot of things. Globally, if you see Toyota's sustainability reports, it will be very good, exhaustive. They fully disclose everything what they are doing. Also the initiatives, not just the metrics, as Madam was mentioning, they explain the process, how they do it. They don't have any fear. Even if they somebody want to copy, they will not be able to do so easily, right? So that's why they report everything. You can see some companies in India how they are reporting. Not all the work, but at least the metrics, whatever they are reporting, like the performance, like what I showed before, like these kind of things, environmental, social. Actions taken in response to incidents of corruption. GSK is not Indian. GSK India is fine, but GSK is actually UK, so they will have. Reddy's will be good. Cipla also, Sun Pharma, Torrent. There are many Indian pharma companies. Pharma companies also have a very unique practice, you might know. So most of the hazardous reactions are done in the night.
Cobalt one I was just nowadays in medical devices or in implants,
Ah.
those with accidents and all, they replace the bones in place.
Is implants, yes, I know.
So in but implants there are highly cobalt percentage are being found recently. So and what's the effect in 10-15 years? People are trying slowly they get neurotoxic effects like there's amnesia. They go towards Alzheimer's and they forget things. Some other they cannot do things. So FDA recently in 2023, this 23 December or last year, they issued all the implants has to be biodegradable materials or ceramic materials and also in some Indian companies and research institutes are working on that.
Okay.
It's currently in phase 2 because we are repurposing the drugs. When it is repurposed, it is already in the market. So we try for the clinical trials phase 2. So and in
But some of the 3D printed implants are titanium.
3D printing is there, but 3D printing is again becomes very costly.
Right now it's still
The
very
cost effective is there because healthcare is such a sector. It goes from the per day income of a person which is like 10 to 10 lakhs. So it has to be affordable for
Yeah.
all. So we need that kind of thing. And in manufacturing, I was there in manufacturing. That's why I know it better. Nowadays we use polymers for tablets and capsules mainly, which are like biodegradable. We can use it whenever we now in some pharmaceutical companies, the water which we use, we try to recycle it. We filter it in our own filtering center we have. We filter it there, separate it out as RO and everything. Then we use it after going to all water test as per the criteria of our GMP and
CGMP,
GLP.
CGMP
Then we
guidelines.
use all these things. So nowadays pharmaceutical company, but there are certain things which need to be addressed. Like in some medicines, like the injections and all, we cannot reuse it because it's sterile and those parameters are there. So on that parameter, sustainability comes as a challenge also. How we can make it as a sustainable thing or something. So these are the certain things in pharmaceuticals or the healthcare. Medical devices are very common now. Starting from pacemaker, in our homes we have things to diagnose our blood sugar. And nowadays, which we have one new instrument has come up. Maybe it will be launching 2026. Carbon dot censored glucose sensing device. So in that we don't need any needle or anything. Just on non-invasive. It's just on basis of your sweat, and this they'll just collect the information because carbon dot senses deeper into your sense, and on the basis of that, how much, what level of our ions are there in our body, that is also being carried out over there.
Okay, maybe a couple of examples. Did you find any company of interest? The first row, first bench. We can do this after in the afternoon after the class also. You can compare. So if some of you work individually, but have you found some companies?
So there's a company known as Reliance Industrial Company Limited, which shows that there's a reduction in 10% reduction in greenhouse emissions over the year of over year to year. There's a reduction of
Okay, that is one overall GHG emissions. Anything details they are mentioning? This is our Reliance, overall Reliance group.
yeah.
Anything else? Do they have a separate sustainability report? Reliance. Ah. Okay, you did find, Shavani, you find something?
Sir, I have found for ICICI Bank,
Hmm.
and seeing the human aspect, what they have done, they have done training programs wherein main parts are automation, data analytics, cloud computing, cybersecurity, data visualization, all those. Again, they have taken initiatives for travel accompaniment, maternity leave, childcare leave, fertility leave, and adoption leave for women employees. And they also are trying for job rotation for 360-degree
Feedback,
yes,
appraisal.
holistic those. And they have funded SHGs also. They have given the number of how many women have been benefited from the first as well as for the last year that they have done. In semi-urban areas, they have made the segregation of urban, semi-urban and all. They have helped underprivileged women. This is about, and they have also shared a success story. This is all in the ESG report that I'm seeing. Meanwhile, Thozil self-help groups of Tamil Nadu. So they have given money for renting as well as for manufacturing fishing nets.
Okay.
So that is one of the things that they have done. And all of the employees are women, no men over there.
This is itself is a good exercise. You can take maybe one industry, few companies. Right now, since this lot of these are in ESG reporting, is there a standard format now in India? Everybody has to follow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then we can even compare. But still, within that, there will be variation. Not everybody is
It
giving in
again,
that.
continuously being upgraded.
Ah.
Now, as I told you, sir, only few months back they have come out with metrics. Previously, like they have reported,
Very-
it's all in a paragraph
Ah.
format. But metrics
No numbers,
now
ah.
are being given, which
Yes.
will be applicable for this particular financial year.
Yeah. Then that will be interesting to see if we have these common metrics, how people are when performance is varying and so on. You can see.
But again, there is also a loophole. I mean, how they will be giving that metrics? I mean, who will be following which method?
Yes.
Statistical method to apply
Yes,
that?
that's what
That will
madam
be
is saying. No, there is actually the devil lies in the details. How are you actually collecting the data and reporting, and what is the authenticity? Is there any auditing happening? That's why the CAs you are mentioning, they also have to audit that.
Yes.
So,
So mostly the human right due diligence is properly missing because those who are employed in the supply chain, we are not taking care of their rights.
yes.
So, and mostly the companies are never mentioned about this in their
Yeah.
ESG report.
Yeah.
So I think this also.
Yeah, this is a big problem.
No, but sir, I think that, see, this, first of all, the awareness was not there. Now the awareness has come in. And
Yeah.
there is a learning curve.
Yes, yes.
You will learn, like madam yesterday was telling about that poverty index, we had only one dimension.
Ah.
But slowly they have developed.
Yeah.
So it will,
It will come.
come. So, as long as we are aware and people realize the importance, that will, kind
Yes, but then the one thing they have to have right kind of people who can do this work. This is highly technical work, right? So people, that's why sustainability professionals are needed.
Yes.
Who can do this and collect this data, do this analysis, do it reporting, then plan improve. It is not just reporting. They have to plan improvement actions and show this, right? So there have to be people. It should not, and preferably it should be there in every function.
No,
In
as-
production also there are people focusing on sustainability.
So actually, as I was telling you, in as part of the CSR activity, what companies used to do was, I was talking about this e-waste. Lot of those, hardware computers which were going out of, 386, 486, they used to send it to schools or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yes.
Okay. So this was, as you said, it was more ad hoc. But now, since you have some templates and a good leader, again, will actually, ensure that that is, practiced through,
In a
keeping
proper
through a
way, there is
proper
a documentation and there is a when
documentation
that people
team,
have
like you
received
said.
it and
So you need
most
a lot
needy
of
places it will go and so on.
because the problem what we saw is, here is that policies are very good, and but it is actually the implementation where, it is something of a thing.
About the
But
effectiveness of the proper policy. Even they are taking major initiative, but what is the outcome of that
Yes.
initiative? They never mentioned about that. So it will enhance the transparency if they mention the effectiveness.
Yes, that I always say there are many companies who also doing this work. Even if they are giving money as part of CSR, they should have a proper impact assessment exercise, but nobody does. Even if I was mentioning this company iCure, they do a lot of work. They are also struggling to do because they don't have people to do this proper impact assessment. That's why they sometimes come to us. They are reporting very basic descriptive statistics. These many people, they have a nice chart to show, but that is not impact assessment. You have to do before what was there, after what you have done. Is there a significant difference? Whatever, even if it's a health related, something has some indicators have improved, or that they have to show. Controlling for so many other factors, right? So.
So, sir, I think DP, Department of Personal Enterprise, has mandated all the Maharatna, Navratna, Mriratna PSUs to actually publish these ESG and sustainability reports. And since I have worked in CSR division of another Maharatna PSUs named as REC Limited, so there in each financial year a detailed impact assessment report need to be published and should be approved by the board of the directors.
Okay.
So that's a mandate that they have given, and in that report they are working on basically on the basis of 5. The Likert scale is 5, 1 to 5, and they need to specify that which sustainability development goal each project has contributed in. So that's a practice now being adopted in all the public sector units currently, and they publish the impact assessment report on their website also.
No, but then we will need to see the method. I mean, Likert scale is again subjective, right?
Yes, sir.
How will then, if it's a, it has to have some quantitative measures, also measure over a period of time, then it's a, but it's a start, right? As we are saying, some start has been made. At least from zero, we are starting reporting something. Fine?
This reporting part, I mean, India, we have always been following that carrot and stick approach. Previously, Dabur, ITC, and Tata used to report, and that used to be known as sustainability report.
Yes,
and
only.
that was voluntary.
Voluntary.
Totally voluntary.
Yes.
In 2013, we had a change in Companies Act. Now they made a mandate that 2% of the
Yes.
average of the last 3 years profits have to be given
Given
in
to CSR, yes.
But there also they found out a loophole. They caught hold of a NGO, they gave the money, and whatever is being done, they never wanted to know also where the money is going.
Yes, yes.
So this is what it was like. I have done my duties and
Yes,
done.
yes.
Now government is seeing that that is also not helping. So that's why this ESG and everything has come into place.
Yeah, yeah.
So hopefully it might be better in the
Yeah,
years
it
to
should
come.
be. Yeah. Madam. Okay.
We were reading BRSR report of Reliance company. So we have seen that in sustainability environmental aspect, they're using seawater like for 40%, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So they are showing good numbers and everything. But when we come to next principle related to cyber security and stuffs, so they are showing that they have 0 cases in BRSR report, and it is one of the mandatory reports now, and everybody are using for disclosures and stuffs. But when we go through the news and everything, they are showing that they have many cases related to cyber security for geo users and everything. So why is this the case that they are showing all these numbers?
This is what the auditors should pick up, right? So if you now already search in news, you will see Reliance's these cybersecurity incidents already reported.
Yes, sir. So first we saw
But
that
they
have
may
0
be
cases.
reporting, they will say that this is inside their company cybersecurity incidents, not what is happening to customers.
So even Deloitte, KPMG, PwC, they also cannot have a hand in this, because when they are asking, I know my friends who are working,
Yeah.
they are asking for information and these companies do not furnish with that information. So when they are preparing the reports, how will they furnish the information? They cannot
unless-
just give any
because
arbitrary
they
numbers.
don't have access to their system also. Cyber security
Exactly,
is
sir.
very difficult.
Exactly,
For
everything.
in a
I mean,
post hoc way you cannot find out no what happened someday in some year, what there's some incident, unless they actually open up their system and show, which nobody will do.
The
But
utilization certificates are collected in case of PSUs
Hmm.
to understand that what is the
Ah.
and then only the money is released for further disbursement.
Hmm.
While in private sector, such policy or things are there, but they do not follow.
Yeah.
And there is a big loophole. Most PSUs invest in both basically infrastructure related things,
Hmm.
so that it's there, we can find it.
Yeah.
But private companies invest more in skill based projects because so that the money can be rotated.
Yeah. No, but this utilization, if there is a cyber security incident, ideally that's a good way. One measure is this: the asset utilized or asset was down, right? So there is an indirect measure. If there is a cyber security incident, something would have stopped, right? The big incidents we all know. So there is a big company, Maersk, in 2017 or 18. For 1 week, their entire global IT system was down. Billions of dollars of global shipping trade was affected by cybersecurity. They obviously, instead of reporting like that, if at least something has happened, it is for their benefit, they should report that something happened, we took corrective action, and then we will avoid this, because this is finally they are going to affect them. So, okay, we then discuss, the important word here is proactive, right. So, there are some things which are government mandated, this is we have to do mandatory, but what are the proactive strategies for across the supply chain if you have to improve sustainability? Clearly, first is goals, educating, I will say not just educating suppliers, but educating internal employees first, then also their extended supply chain. Then designate these members who are in charge, who is going to be actually responsible and accountable, monitoring suppliers, communicating these achievements and feedback. So, this may look like simplistic, but even if this process is followed, then companies will surely make some, depending on different whatever KPIs or performance measures they want to achieve, that this is our target for greenhouse gas or water consumption or health and safety or other reasons, whatever things we prioritize, we create the goal over the next few years. This is what we will do internally, this is what we need support from suppliers, who are the high risk suppliers, how we can support them, educate them, monitor them. There is a team of people who are going to work. Then also communicate, if there are some positive things, then bring back those stakeholders, suppliers, etc., and reward them feedback, and this continuously goes on, right. This is not a rocket science process, but even such small things we have always discussed in an extended supply chain, working with the suppliers is very important. They will not have that capabilities. If you are a large company, you have that responsibility to support them. Now what is happening, the burden is coming to you and you are continuously passing it on. Imagine a small company, how they will do all of this reporting, collect data, measurement. They have some 5 people, 10 people company, right. So, and that is true globally. Globally, if you see 80 to 90% of manufacturing is SMEs, and even in UK we have a lot of these companies who are really struggling, crying for help. They are supposed to do all of this, part of scope 3. Their big customers are saying they want this, but they have no manpower, no skill to actually even, plus some investment is also needed. Who will do this? In European countries, what happened, at least government sometimes they cannot do everything, but initial phase they give some money. There is a money given to, as I was saying, to some kind of local bodies, and they conduct training and they provide some help. There is a smart, so there is smart manufacturing related some investments government has done, but still internally these things have to happen. Then this is quite a famous paper, it is old, but Pagel and you, so this was quite early days of integrating sustainability across supply chain. So they studied at that time the companies who are doing very well. So the kind of exemplar companies, they found out around 10 companies across industries who have implemented sustainability to a large extent across their supply chain, and they have some good practices. From that they found out these 7 things, and I will show you in the diagram. So, it still requires some innovation capability, right? Some positive orientation from the management. First, they also found out that supply chain, our thinking is there are now some new members in the supply chain which we did not consider, like NGOs and different trade bodies. They were not considered as part of supply chain, right? So, they realized these companies are very actively working with these kind of social organizations, collaborating with these non-traditional supply chain members. Supplier continuity, this one I always emphasize, I have been telling you, is an important outcome. You always squeeze your suppliers. If they go out of business, who is losing? Not just them, you are also losing. So, you have to make sure that supplier also remains in business and is in a good healthy financial condition. One of the biggest risk is the bankruptcy of your key suppliers. If you squeeze them and they go out of business, it is a big risk. So, some of these companies were actively looking at supplier continuity. So, this was their overall finding. Many of the things were common, but they found some interesting things, right. So, these were like guardrail value, means this is the company will never compromise. These companies already decided that we will never compromise on certain things related to ethics, social, even environmental aspects, even if it kind of has an immediate impact on profitability. Then they said that this reconceptualizing who is in the supply chain and focus on supply based continuity through transparency, traceability and decommoditization. Sometimes we always try to push down the cost and asking for the minimal things. If you think that raw material is very critical for you, sometimes some of these companies were actually paying the suppliers a little bit higher above the market rate, because you want to get that. That may not be, that may be in general it is a commodity, it is a commodity raw material. But you know, in commodities any kind of metal, it is still a finite resource. You may not have all the supplies all the time. The prices are also fluctuating. So, if you have a good supplier who has been delivering consistently to you, you pay them little bit higher, and because maybe for every company it does not have the same value. For your product, maybe that material is very important. Without that, yes, the product's quality, durability, etc. suffers. And then this simultaneously, that time, first time in the company showed that they can improve all of these dimensions simultaneously, like environmental, social and financial performance need not be, there need not be a trade-off. There are ways we can improve on all of these dimensions. So, you can have a look at this paper. I will see if I can share it with you. This is an old paper, still it's quite good, I think, Journal of Operations Management paper. But as we know, even telling all these good things, there are still challenges, right? So, there are, what is the time? Are we doing well on time?
10:15.
Yeah, so okay, we will do. So, we will do the LCA part later. So, there are still challenges in terms of, we have been discussing, but again a summary of that insufficient dedication. This is still kind of, if it is good to have, if when we have time we will do it, but now it is slowly means getting better. But lack of top management commitment is also there. Not all senior management, if there are senior people, they have in their lifetime they have not done 20-30 years maybe in their career they have not done, last 10 years they are forced to do. So, it is a difficult thing, plus they have inadequate expertise, kind of reactive and firefighting. If something goes wrong, then we suddenly wake up, right. So, these challenges will remain. Now, some ways to, and this is also again effectively, rather than sometimes the goals are at senior management and they are not simply fully interested. There are some costs associated, the greenwashing is also happening, and small firms have limited resource and low response rate. So, they cannot do so. Then what is the solution? Something has to be still work, somebody has to take the initiative and do this across the supply chain. There are few things, again when you have time you can go through this. In Tata Group generally, Schneider Electric is another global player. So, it is a large electrical as well as there are many other automation types of business. They are one of the leaders in sustainability. You can see and also compare some of the Indian companies. Let us say Bajaj Electricals is nowhere comparable, but similar, right. So, but Schneider is very globally and there is a large. So, Schneider, Siemens, Bosch are similar. You can compare them. Similarly, you can look at Unilever, and Tata Group and see what they are doing. So their actions are, you can see the difference. They have already done a lot of work in this area. We will skip this discussion now, but maybe again in the afternoon we can pick this up. The other thing which I wanted to see, as we have been discussing, is this closed loop part of it. This is very difficult to manage. Forward part of the supply chain we still know, we can predict, we can forecast, we have done planning, we are good in sending the product away to the customer. What happens when it returns? Why is it difficult to manage? And that is why there is a lot of research in our field in this. That when the output ends up in a landfill, we know a lot of products are still ending up in a landfill. It's causing a huge waste. We have to avoid it, which companies know. Globally, all companies, whatever product they are making, they know it should not go in landfill. That means they have to do something from the take back side, from the return side, and again we discussed in retail, so many things are returned, right? What happens to those? Even large companies, global companies are having lot of problems with this, and they are party to it. It's not that everybody is doing very well and in India or Asia we are not doing well. This H&M group, you know, it's a Swedish very big retailer. So they take back things. So if you have old clothes, you can go to their store and dump. Then someone fine day people found out even those things which we are returning as customers, they are actually taking to landfill and burning, and they are saying we will do something. In other cases it is landing up in Africa, right? Again, so what is it, and all the distance, so they are not actually recycling and reusing. So because this is very difficult to manage, but then you should not say, you should be upfront in doing this. One way is to obviously do that at the design stage, which is difficult, but at the designing stage of the product, you said you ensure through the use of material or the process it can be easily disassembled, it can be reused and recycled. So use biodegradable materials, as you are saying. So there are certain things companies have to take an action at the design and development stage of the product. Then once the return stage comes, there has to be a supply chain which is designed to ensure that recycling. So what is the process we should follow, what is the best way to do it? An economic interest of all parties should be understood. Even in that reverse supply chain, there are multiple people involved. There are so many agencies, so many different stakeholders who are involved, and everybody will try to make their own profit, but this is so uncertain that the challenges in modeling and doing some of these activities here is.
So nowadays very big market for surplus product.
Yes. Here I show there are two options. Very basically, if you see, let's say a product comes back, we can do some minimal activities at the collection center, we just take the product, right? Then we suddenly we ship it to some remanufacturing or reprocessing facilities where everything else happens. We are disassembling, sorting, cleaning, inspecting, then seeing what can be recycled. We have some recovered parts, we maybe sell them as spare parts, we reassemble things, other things are coming up, and then we again use it for a refurbished or a remanufactured product. So everything is happening in another center. That is very broadly this is one option. The other option is you do lot of activities at the collection center itself, right? And then we are doing the final processing of the final products at the later stage. Which one do you think is beneficial from both environment, cost, time perspective? Can you make a guess? It's not an easy, it has to be fully assessed. But broadly, given these two options, which one do you think is going to be a better option?
Sir, if it is case 2, then time can be, time factor is a huge thing, and if at the collection center only we can get all these things done, then
Yes.
again there won't be another problem of taking it to the
Yes.
factory and doing it.
Yes.
That is what we are doing even in waste, we are segregating it at the.
Yeah.
Yes, inception,
Yes.
wherever we are taking it, collecting
Yes. But it is still not for every product, it is done, because this has to be designed. That means this center has to have some capabilities to do it. As you rightly said, that is the biggest factor. Lot of things, if you don't do that work here and take it, it will remain there. By the time it goes already electronics products, the deterioration starts happening, right? If you process it earlier, quickly figure out what to do with it, then things move faster. The less time it's there after being returned, then the value will remain higher. If you do this, your value depreciation is very high, right? So it cannot be recovered. But it's not an easy decision. In supply chain there is a network decision, what is the location, what is the capacity, how much manpower is needed, what processes you can do, also optimizing this process in terms of cycle time. So, a lot of things are needed, and as I discussed, even this activity is highly manual and skilled. People have to, and sometimes it can be hazardous. We have to open this up, disassemble, then figure out what to do. Are the people trained to decide whether this can be reused and recycled? What is the guidelines for doing this? People are doing lot of the things ad hoc. Maybe some people are very skilled and trained, they can figure out. That is why this product passport concept is coming up. In Europe is very keen on this, to automate this process. If the history is there, we can scan it, we can find out that this has gone through repair so many times, this has already have so many cycles of run, it has very high temperature fluctuations, then we say that this cannot be directly reused, right. Maybe we can recover the material of it, or if it is in a really good virgin condition, we directly reuse it or recycle. So, that this they want to reduce that decision making part of it, so that we can quickly process it. But the challenge here, which many people are working in supply chain in the reverse logistics side, addressing some of this, and this cannot be going on, right. So, there is uncertainty in timing, and we do not know when things are coming up. So, there is uncertainty in timing and quantity of returns, uncertainty in the quality of the material received. There is a huge variation for return products, managing this disassembly operation, plus there is a material matching problem. For this product we have got part A, B, C, it needs part D and E which has not come. In a regular forward manufacturing, we know we get all the parts together and produce. Here maybe some parts are in good condition, but is still waiting for other things to make a final assembled product, and highly variable processing. Now, we cannot really estimate. Some things might take longer time, shorter time, depending on the condition of the product which is coming. But there again, I think there is an opportunity to have AI, image based. So, based on image recognition, from picture itself we can find out, right, and we can make some rules to how whether this can be, what is the benefit of actually reusing or recycling or reverse. So, finding out what is the best optimal circular pathway for the product. So, with that, so in this process there are this acquisition management, reverse logistics, remanufacturing, all of this, even sales and marketing, this alternate channel you are mentioning. So, there has to be some consumer awareness also to be built in, so that people use these kind of return products. Before we keep the LCA for the afternoon part, but I think this energy efficiency part is also important. We have been discussing a lot, but how do we find out which are the kind of projects? Again, there are different portfolio of projects companies will do to manage an energy efficiency within their facility, if it is a factory or a warehouse or whatever facility. Broadly, this paper showed, I mean, there are two kinds of things, like energy, what is the potential of energy saving doing this? All projects are not high value, they will save only a little bit of money, right, but still it is worth doing. Because the complexity is low, it is easy to do. Some people, your maintenance people or your internal team can itself do it, like changing to LEDs, right, it is the most common one. Sometimes in motors, I was giving example, variable frequency, changing the motors to, it may require some cost, but it is a relatively easy task to do, right. Internal expertise is available, project has demonstrated impacts, but low magnitude, and it is a low priority, you can quickly start off. Then there will be such projects where there are large payoffs, but we have existing internal capabilities. It will still require some time, but you still need to create a strategic plan, operational metrics, what is the as is process, what is the current metrics, how much you are saving, and you have to manage this. But most of the large ones will require some kind of subcontracting, working with somebody who has more expertise in that area. Internal expertise will be lacking. So, and you find out what are the contractual conditions, because once you do it, that is why pilot projects are done, right. You do not know fully what kind of benefits you will get. It is difficult to fully come out with a contract that this we want this kind of benefit. The large ones where the benefits are high, but still very complex, there is a now what this paper showed, it is better to have projects with performance based contracting. So, you already tell not the work which these companies will do, but first of all maybe they will change entire energy system, moving to completely renewable, or there will be a lot of recycling happening and so on. If it is a big capital expenditure, the contract, whoever the company who is going to do that work, they should be measured on that final outcome, how much we have saved, and at least that part should be variable. There may be a fixed fee associated, but the remaining part can be variable based on the outcome. Otherwise, some things they will say, oh, we have done the work, whether you got the benefit or not, it's not based on the hours of work or effort, but the real outcome. Then only many companies face such problems when they were moving, because it's a big investment. Suppose they are changing the entire the energy usage in their company, it's not easy. Yeah, this is the further things from this paper. SCOR and green score, are some of you aware of it? You from, yeah, yes. So I will just briefly, will not go to the details of it. SCOR says it is a supply chain operations reference model. So supply chain, we have different processes like planning, sourcing, manufacturing, delivering, return. The SCOR model came up with detailed metrics for each of these processes. Now what green score did is obviously added the environmental, and then social was added little bit. So some environmental related metrics was added. This was the first thing first time where it was done across the supply chain. So even supply chain processes, when you are planning or sourcing, what is the environmental impact, or select some specific actions, were scheduling peak production in off energy times and so on, minimizing packaging material, reducing things. These things were not done, right? Even 15 years ago, these were not actively considered, right? 15-20 years ago, maybe some ad hoc measures were done. So one SCOR is a very commonly used supply chain performance measurement system. When green measures were added, then for every supply chain process some metrics were created, but each company has to decide what level of detail again they will go. So there are, SCOR has multiple levels, level 1, 2, every detail of metrics. And then some specific, like I was showing, for every process done, some key KPIs were identified, but each company has to do this on their own. There are some guidelines about the kind of metrics, but you can choose what specific metrics you want to use for that. And then the papers later on came up to show the performance impact, and they again, all of this finally still depends on supplier partnership, customer relationship, level of information sharing, quality of information sharing. The postponement I was also already discussing, it's a key concept in supply chain, that we kind of delay the differentiation of the product, so we don't keep the final finished good inventory. Lot of these good supply chain practices impact the organization performance and competitive advantage through all of this. So and then this is also related to environmental performance also improve. So this, what many research showed, some of the good practices don't go away, so they will still remain. You still have to do this, and companies, this was an assurance for companies that they don't have to really reinvent and do something completely different to improve on sustainability. So to improve sustainability performance, whatever they were doing well, on top of it they add certain things, integrate and embed that, then they will get those kind of performance measures. So with this, I think we will stop now. In the afternoon session, there is something, we will discuss the case as well as the LCA part. Scope 3 is also important. Maybe I think we should also share these slides, so we can have the discussion. Just share this slide with you. I will put it in the folder, and then we, in the afternoon mostly, we will look at LCA and the case study. Right?
हेलो हेलो ठीक है हेलो हेलो कुछ तो प्रॉब्लम है मतलब इट्स नॉट वेरी क्लियर
आप उसको यूज़ करिएगा ना।
हाँ हाँ
Local है ना।
हाँ
तो बात करिए।
हेलो आई थिंक इट्स ओके
हेलो चेक हेलो।
when you are going very close to the mic then only it is coming na? So
Sir, 2 minutes. They're just starting.
okay
It is our privilege to introduce Professor Kailash Bihari Lal Srivastava, a distinguished professor in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Kharagpur. Sir has been here at IIT Kharagpur since 1997 and has since then made significant contributions to the field of human resource development, social and organizational psychology, performance management, knowledge management, change management, among other areas. With a PhD in psychology from IIT Kanpur, Professor Srivastava is today one of the stalwarts in the area of organizational psychology and has been a key contributor in education development in India through his widely known and appreciated NPTEL courses. His career is filled with reputed positions and recognitions for his work, from being the president of National Academy of Psychology to being in the selection committees of esteemed institutions like UPSC and IIM Ranchi. Sir has successfully guided more than 20 completed doctoral theses and published more than 50 papers in top reputed journals. We are honored to have Professor Srivastava for the session today on implementing sustainability in an organization, where his extensive expertise and experience will provide invaluable insights and wisdom to manage the complexities of today. We welcome you, sir.
thank you Devanshi for such a nice introduction. So I think you have this program starting on 6th, right, and then you are going on various aspects, issues and concerns related to sustainability, okay, in all domain, including say personal, social, organizational, right. So it is very very important that we need to adopt systems and practices, so that only we are not going to benefit from that, but our future generations are also going to benefit, right. So there are a lot of issues and concerns which companies are facing, and management is also sometimes not clear how they would go about implementing certain practices, so that the organization become more sustainable in the future. So now if you look at this, when we are talking about sustainability in the organization, basically you have to see that how it is going to serve stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Employers, customers, suppliers, then investors, regulators, right. So all of them are stakeholders, and every stakeholder has its due to the organization, and at the same time they also want something, they have certain expectations, right. So while one of the obligations of the organization is to see that they are going to take care of the stakeholders, but at the same time they are also going to see that they are going to take care of the planet, our earth, right. So both kind of say things are there, taking care of the earth and also ensuring that they have good return on their investments, okay, so that they can serve the stakeholders. So it is very very important for the organizations today to see what kind of models have been adopted by the businesses to remain sustainable, okay. See, it is not just we are not just only talking about ethics or responsibility, but sustainability has actually taken a center stage today, and companies have to think that what kind of strategic initiatives can be taken up by them to remain profitable not only profitable, so let us say, but also take care of the sustainability issues. So, basically it does not require a more fragmented approach, okay, you do this, you do that. Okay. For example, some companies are focusing only on one particular activity, say reducing the energy consumption. So, that is not enough, they have to take a more holistic and positive proactive approach. So, in that context I have to say that yes, they have to set their goals related to sustainability, what they want to achieve within a given time frame, what kind of challenges they are going to face or they are likely to face when they are going to implement these kind of things. For example, I was attending a conference and there were senior leaders, okay, from different sectors, and then when we asked that okay, how we are going to implement, what are the indicators, most of these senior leaders were not aware about them, that how do they go about implementing certain practices which may lead to sustainability. Okay. So, educating and making them aware about the issues and concerns, both positive and negative consequences which is going to be there, it is very, very important at the first stage. So, education and awareness, and also another important thing is basically that the stakeholders have to change their mindset. See, there are two issues, one is related to growth and development, right, we cannot deny that. Other issue is how we are using the resources for that. Can we adopt these twin issues at the same time or not, or are we going to make a balance between the two? On the one side we are looking forward to growth and development, where we have to exploit our resources, on the other side we have to see that how much resources we are going to exploit, how we are going to exploit them, all kind of things. Okay. So, most of the companies need to develop a more sustainable business models depending upon the kind of businesses, the nature of business that they are doing. So, these business model are not going to be something that is going to be uniform for all kind of organizations, but it is going to vary depending upon the requirement of the organization. Now, you look at this figure, you can see it is from a research paper that I could find out. What are the drivers for sustainability dynamics? See, what are the various resources that most of the organizations are using? There could be some more. Can you identify anything else other than what is this mentioned here, land, water, energy, capital, labor? Yeah. Okay. That is related to energy. Broadly, these are the 5 resource base which are being used by the organization. Now, you have to see what are the options that is available. Okay. Now, what you need to do is that on the one side you are talking about the resource base that is to be deployed utilized by the organizations. You also have your own interests, social, economic and environmental goals, right. So, the basic issue is that how you are going to manage these resources, given the context in which you are working, given the resources that you have, how you are going to make use of these resources in a better way, so that you are going to be sustainable. What are the drivers? See, these are both sides you can see some of the drivers. Governance issues are there, right. Policies and interest of each sector is different. When you are talking about this hospitality sector, they are creating a different kind of waste, right. When you are talking about IT, they are creating a different kind of waste. When you talk about say mines, they are creating different kind of waste. So, the sectoral interests and policies are different. Okay. Another issue is related to development of industries. The third one is how agriculture is going to be transformed. Okay. You know, the lot of technological advancements have taken place, because of which the kind of agriculture that we used to engage in say 20, 30, 40 years before and today is quietly totally different, right. And then you also know that there is a lot of innovations are happening, okay, in all sectors, in all kind of organizations regarding the use of various resources. This side you can see how things are happening, like everybody is talking about the climate change today, right. Then cultural and social beliefs and behaviors, they are affecting a lot, because it is the most important thing what I think as a psychologist is the mindset of the people, right. So, we need to change our attitude towards consumption, that is very important, realizing that these resources are depleting, okay, and if you do not make a judicious use, what will happen? If you look at the fossil fuel route, how long it is going to sustain? Let us say coal, right, which is a major source of energy, but it is not going to last long, maybe 100 years, 200 years at the most after that. So, we have to think about it. Then the changes that is happening, urbanization, population growth, all kind of things. Okay. So, basically these drivers are going to force us to see that how we are going to manage resources in a better way, so that we are able to take care of the social, economic and environmental goals, and also related to the business at the same time, right. Look, so as I told you earlier also that we require a more holistic approach from the organizations. So, many companies have actually gone for adopting a lot of put in practices basically to see that their environmental impact contribute to a more sustainable future. Let me give you an example. See, and then we also look at the other side of the story. It is not that okay, you are going to reduce the environmental impact. Okay. You know that today most of the companies have come out with e-vehicles, whether you are talking about 2-wheelers or 4-wheelers, okay. And we say that it is good for the environment because it is not going to pollute it. Okay. That is the one side of the story. What is the other side of the story? How much resources you are using to create just one battery for a car, right. Nobody is talking about that one. And actually I was reading about one study, and it says that how much pollution is being created by a 4-wheeler, and if you look at the cost associated with a e-vehicle is more than that. So, just imagine the kind of things that are happening, okay. But people are not thinking about it. They said okay, we have a e-vehicle, so it is not going to pollute the environment, but it is not so. Okay. See what are the material that is used in batteries? Lithium, yeah, cobalt. From where you are getting it? From the earth. So, the amount of cobalt or lithium that is required for one battery in a car, if you look at the extraction, modification and all kind of things, how much time it is taking, how much resources it utilizes and other kind of things. Okay. So, you have to see that when you are talking about sustainable development, you take a more holistic approach. You just do not look at what are the benefits that we are going to derive out of it, right. See IT industries, how much waste they are generating. Okay. See every 2 years, 3 years we are changing our mobile and throwing them out off. What is happening to them? Is it being disposed effectively, right. So, a lot of issues and concerns that we have. Okay. So, depending upon the requirement, each business has to define its objectives, okay, which not only aligns to the values of the company, but also to make sure that it is it leads to being a more sustainable business. So, every organization has to go for some kind of sustainability audit related to the operations, systems, practices, everything, whether it is supply chain, whether it is marketing or whether it is the production, anything, okay, where it is very important. Okay. And you also need to engage all the stakeholders in the process, that is very important. Okay. And you also need to invest in training people regarding sustainability, so that they engage in such practices, and you also allow them to participate in sustainability initiative, but how many companies are doing? I will give you the data later on to show you that what is happening. What are the challenges? This is again identified based on a research that was done by Foster, and what they have identified is these 5 important issues when it comes to implementing sustainable practices. Limited financial resource, many companies do not have enough resources to go for it. There is a lot of resistance from stakeholders, all kind of stakeholders, especially those organizations which are for profit, right. So, their focus is more on profit than going for these kind of activities. There are lot of regulatory hurdles are there. We have lot of rules and regulations related to ensure that we are able to manage our environment, we are able to take care of our social responsibilities, governance issues. I mean, I am talking about the ECG issues, environmental, social and governance issues, right. But how far they are being implemented by the industries, by the governments? I think you had a talk by that lady yesterday, right. You are creating sustainability indicators for the states, for the society, for others, but whether it is being implemented effectively or not, that is very, very important. Okay. Every time after Diwali, Delhi comes into the grip of high pollution, AQI goes up to 500, right, and then you take certain reactive measures, not proactive measures. Yes, yeah, I think in India it did not cross 1400, but as I think Pakistan it went up to 1400. Yes, not in India, it went up to 500, something like that. So, if you are living in such a polluted environment, it is going to affect your health, right. So, just imagine that government is more reactive when this happens, then they go for certain regulations. No, you cannot drive car, you say go for grab 3, grab 4, these kind of things, all kind of things. But why do not you become more preventive, right, be more proactive, that is very, very important. And another issue that we have talked about is lack of awareness and knowledge. People are not also aware what are the things and issues or concerns related to sustainability. Okay. So, probably we need to educate people about these issues, what are the causes, what are the preventive measures that we have to take, okay. And also scaling up sustainable practices by the organization. You will get these PPTs, so you do not need to write anything. Okay. So, you can basically turn these sustainable challenges into business opportunities. How? Product and services innovation, develop sustainable products and services that meets the evolving needs of the environmentally conscious, say, consumers. How? You know that many companies are offering eco-friendly products and services, isn't it? That is the best example I can give you. You know that now many companies have come out with, say, bags. See, most of us are using polythene bags, okay, which are basically polluting in nature, but now they are creating such bags which can dissolve and it is not going to have any negative impact on the environment, right. So, we have to think about such things. We also need to collaborate and partnership with all the stakeholders, whether suppliers, customers, vendors, okay, and also share the resources and expertise with each other, that how we can go for these kind of things. And of course, if you go for sustainability practices, it also leads to cost saving, right. So, for example, you go to say alternative energy sources, say solar power, solar or wind energy, right. Say one time cost may be there. For example, even if you have put a solar powered say activity, it is going to reduce your energy, I mean the cost of producing energy, right, and the resource consumption is also good. So, these are some of the things that can be done. So, this slide I have taken from a source, that is BCG, you know BCG, Boston Consulting Group. So, they have come out with this kind of thing, okay, that what are the areas which had to be taken care of when you are going for being transformed into a sustainable organization. So, they say that yes, we have to look at this. Okay. So, basically you have to see that whether we can make sustainability as an advantage which is going to add value to the business, and also make sure that it is not going to badly impact or negatively impact the climate. So, he talked about that yes, we have to define our ambition, strategy and roadmap. So, you have to see that what are the material climate and sustainability topics based on the company and industry context. You have to develop end to end sustainability strategies for everything, okay, and also have targets and roadmaps that how long you take to transform yourself into a sustainable business. Then make the core business sustainable, transform how current business operates to deliver social and environmental impact and make the company more resilient. Then how you are going to drive sustainable growth? Okay. You are going to invest in new businesses, revise your business models, okay, and shift the portfolio to achieve growth in new areas, okay, based on your sustainability targets. And finally, go for the transformation. Make sure that your leadership is good, because the role of leadership in sustainability is very, very important. Okay. In one of the conference in Tokyo, we are talking about leaders, the role of leaders in sustainable practices, and there we will find that unless leaders are strong enough to carry out these transformations and take initiatives, down the line does not happen much, right. So, it is very, very important to make sure that you have an authentic leader who really works for this, okay, and he also recognizes the impact that it is going to have not only on the organization, but also the ecosystem and the market. Yes, I do not think I need to discuss these points, you know about it. So, if you integrate say sustainability as a part of a business strategy, these are some of the say advantages that you have. Yes, good brand reputation. Now, people know that yes, you are an organization, okay, who is more eco friendly, right. You are taking care of your environment, your products and services are good, right, and that creates a positive brand image. Cost saving, that is very, very important factor, right, because if you adopt sustainable practices, it may lead to cost saving, like reduced energy consumption, water waste generation, operational efficiencies, right. You know, let me give an example how many real estate companies are saving costs. Okay. You know, now the government has made it a rule that any new building that is being constructed have to go for rainwater harvesting. You know what rainwater harvesting is? That whatever rain water that is coming through the rain has to be collected and used by the residents of that particular building. It is been mandatory, but how many of them are actually doing it, that is more important. Okay. So, what I am talking about is that if you go for rainwater harvesting, your dependence on this particular resource, say water, would be reduced, is not it? Maybe you are getting drinking water from other sources, but for other use you can make use of that water. See, the best example I can give you of Rajasthan, which have very good practices in conserving water, especially in the desert areas. Okay. You know that every household has a storage of water, whatever water that comes out through the rain, they store it and they use it when the rain is not there or when the water is not available outside. Okay. So, we need to go for such practices, okay, which are going to help us to save the cost, reduce our dependence on these resources, right. You also go for regulatory compliances. See, we have lot of environmental regulations, you have say pollution control boards, but how effective they are? I was going through the data of UP Pollution Control Board, and I found that almost 60% government organizations, forget about the private organizations, have not implemented stricter these regulations related to pollution control in the organizations. So, this is the situation. Okay. So, you need to implement those rules and regulations to save the environment, okay. Because you know that is a high penalty. One builder in UP was imposed a fine of 60 lakh rupees because he did not go for this pollution control board certificate. I will not name it, but it happened. So, these kind of things are happening. You also need to improve your efficiency and resource management. Okay. See, you are going to be dependent on resources, right, whether it is land, whether it is water, whether it is energy, whatever it is, for even for raw materials. Okay. So, you have to think that whether you can increase the efficiency to produce your goods and services or not. Okay. And the most important is the building trust and loyalty among the various stakeholders through partnership, so that they know that what kind of advantages this kind of practices would bring to them. Maybe in the beginning you will find that the profits are not coming that much, but maybe in the long run it is going to be better. Okay. See, these are the points that I have been talking about: enhanced brand reputation, loyalty, okay, increased innovation and market differentiation. You can differentiate your products and markets, right, if you are coming out with such products and services. Okay. Then better engagement and talent attraction. You also have a regulatory advantage because you are following all the norms related to the law. Then operational efficiency, cost saving, long term resilience and risk management. Yes, that is very important point, because maybe short term it is not going to be resilient, but in long term it is definitely going to help the organization to grow and develop as a sustainable organizations. Okay. And it also provides new business opportunities, because you need to go for innovations in your products and services based on these sustainability practices. Okay. What kind of data is used for sustainability? Financial metrics. What are the financial metrics? How much you have invested, what are your benefits. So, you can go for some kind of cost benefit analysis. Okay. In addition to say profit, market share, brand reputation, all these are basically a part of the metrics. Then what is the impact on the environment? How we are going to measure it? How much emissions you are reduced, right? What is the carbon footprint? All kind of things you can look at. Social metrics, what is happening, what is the social impact of these kind of things, and whether you are following the norms of the governance or not. Okay. We will talk about this in detail again. See, if you adopt sustainable business practices, it improves your energy management efficiency by using alternative power sources and also carbon accounting, right. You use infrastructure that reduces greenhouse gases, emissions, preserve water resources, eliminate wastes. So, these are some of the benefits that you have. You have a dynamic supply chain to empower a circular economy. You know what is the use this term circular economy? What does it mean? Yeah. Yes, so if you are using a product, whatever waste is coming out, that is being reused, yeah, recycled, right. So, in a circular economy these kind of things happens. So, you go for reuse, redesign, promote sustainable consumption and protect natural resources. You can also enable sustainable development by assessing risks and improving resilience while adhering to the regulations and development goals. Okay. Look at this. How do we go about it? Define your company's mission. So, company is a term, you can say it is organization mission. Any kind of organization can go for having sustainable practices, right, even academic institutions also, right. So, it reflects the vision, values and how the business and leadership want to be remembered by future generations, right. goals or objectives. What are your goals or objectives, especially related to sustainability strategy, people, planet and profit, all related to all these three, because these are known as the triple bottom line, trivial, right. You rank these objectives, that which one is more important, where you are going to you need to prioritize and see that which one is to be done first, which is to be done later. So, that is why this quadrant is there. Okay. So, you need to focus more on the first quadrant, that is urgent and important. Why it becomes urgent and important? Any idea? Say I am giving a different example to explain that. Okay. See how you manage your time. You have I am just deviating a little bit to explain this. You know about time management. Okay. So, what you do, you try to find out, okay, this is the time that is available for you to do certain activities, right. If you do not do it in time, what happens? It becomes urgent, right. So, that is where you need to prioritize what are the things that need to be done first, what are the things that need to be done later. Okay. You prioritize and do it so that it does not become urgent, right. So, if you procrastinate, you delay certain things, then it becomes urgent and you have to do immediately. For example, you are polluting the environment as an organization, right, and once the government puts a penalty and then you think about taking certain preventive measures, right. So, this is what we call do immediately. You have to do it because there is no way out, there is a compulsion for you to go for it. So, make sure that you schedule everything as and when it happens, as and when it is to be done, you go for it. What you cannot do, you are going to delegate it to others, right. So, engage and say engage others also in the process. So, to start with, you have to set targets, setting 1 year, 3 years or 5 year goals, while you are focused on the present. Okay. And then you see that what are the targets that you want to achieve related to different sustainability indicators for the next 1 year, next 3 years and next 5 years, and then you implement it. It means take action based upon your goals and objectives in the short term and the long term, and make sure the people roles are aligned with the company's sustainability strategy related to both profit and the environment. Monitor it, look at the data. For example, you say that our carbon emission norms is this much, we want to reduce it to this much, okay, for 1 year, for 3 years, for 5 years, I mean, whether it is been done or not. And also make changes as and when it is required, because not necessarily you have fixed certain goals and it is possible for you to achieve due to external circumstances or changes that is happening. So, you need to go for making certain changes and adjust your sustainability strategies wherever it is applicable. Okay. Another important point, attracting and retaining top talent. Why it is required? If you look at the today's workforce, especially millennials and Gen Z employees, those are born after 2000, right, they are known as Gen Z employees who are just entering into the workforce. They are basically look forward to those employers who prioritize sustainability, and they also ensure that the companies are taking care of their CSR activities. Okay. So, if as an individual I know that, okay, this is a good company which is taking care of the environment, then I would prefer to work for that particular company. So, this kind of mentality is coming up. Okay. Now, the second thing is differentiation in the market, how your products and services can differentiate your brand from competitors, provided you offer them products and services which are meeting the norms of sustainability, right. You have you see today you have lot of products and services which are following sustainable practices, right. Like you are using resources which can be reutilized, reused, right. Like that many places these plastic cups have been replaced with paper cups, okay, or made from leaf, right. So, it will not have any adverse impact on the environment. Yeah. The third one is access to new markets. Okay. So, since most of the companies are going for adopting sustainable practices, okay, you can also tap into new markets and gain a foothold in regions where sustainability is a priority. Worldwide you will find that most of the governments have actually given importance to those businesses which are more sustainable, which actually adopt sustainable practices. So, you can have those markets not only in India, but other countries also, provided you engage in these kind of practices.
Sir, can I interrupt?
Yes, sure.
It is related to the last slide.
Yes.
About the general Gen Z, now I am also interacting with lot of Gen Z.
Yes.
students. But somehow I tend to disagree where like they have generally जो पैसा ज़्यादा देगा वही जाएंगे. I mean that mentality is also there. I am not sure.
Yeah, it is there. In the beginning it happens that they look for such organizations which are paying good money, definitely it is there. I do not disagree with what you are saying, but at the same time they are also conscious about the environment today. If you look at the younger generation, they are more conscious because they are more educated and aware about what is happening. Yes.
Sir, actually there is a survey conducted by Deloitte
In
which they
Yeah, please. Yeah, one by one.
This is I have cooperated with some PSU companies also, and one of them actually told me about this problem. I don't want to obviously name them, but it's a reputed PSU based in Odisha.
Okay.
And their HR was telling that when they are recruiting MTs or management trainees, they are finding that after 1 year or whatever training they are giving, 1.5 years,
They are leaving.
Going for greener pastures, in the sense that they also don't like to live in small townships. Now they are preferring going to metropolis cities and like that.
Yeah,
So
yes, I agree with what you are telling, but at the same time you will also find that if you compare our generations and the new generation, which is more aware about the environment, which is more conscious about the use of products and services. Maybe they are looking forward to those companies which pay higher, definitely in the beginning it happens with everybody, but at the same time you will also accept the fact that they are more conscious, isn't it? Yes, what you are talking about.
Deloitte actually conducted a survey regarding this
Mm-hmm.
and compared to previous generations, Gen Zs, they prefer to work in companies which are more inclusive
Yes.
and which are incorporating more sustainable programs.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
And they are willing to even work for lesser pay if the companies are inclusive and if they do not discriminate. Like it can be anything, and it also includes gender inclusivity also.
Yeah, see, if you are talking about inclusivity, it includes three things: diversity, equity and inclusivity. So,
yeah.
these DEI principles have to be followed
Yes.
by most of the organizations, right? You are,
is it a global thing you are talking about or the Indian context?
No, it is a global thing.
it is a global trend, but
Yeah.
gradually even Indians are also going to follow this norm. And even if you look at big cities, okay, which maintain proper hygiene, go for good waste management, they are better compared to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities today. You know,
Sir,
Indore, I give an example of Indore. Why Indore is always coming first, being a cleanest city? Yeah, it is a tier 2 city. Not tier 2, it is more or less is as big as any big city. Again, okay. Indore is quite big, being a capital and a lot of things, lot of industries, institutions, everything is there. So it is a big city. It's, I think it is spread around 70 to 80 kilometer if you look at the periphery of Indore. But it is still considered as a very clean city. Yeah, you will. I am not saying that you will not find waste there, but it is basically the habit of the people to ensure that they dispose waste properly, they behave effectively, and they are very conscious about the environment. So, see, it is not going to come in one day. Yeah, I agree with your point that yes, people are running after money, that is one thing. But once this need is satisfied, now they see that whether they are going to work for an organization which is not only good in terms of finances, but also adopt certain practices, okay, related to ESG, environment, society and governance. Gradually this turn is coming up.
Sir,
Yeah, if you
researches
look at
which
some
are
of the
there.
polluting industries, then the things are different. See, in Odisha you will find lot of industries which are creating lot of pollutions, right. Now, it is the responsibility of the leaders to ensure that how they are going to reduce these things, are they doing it or not, are they just following the minimum that is required by the government.
Sir, I take your point, what you said about the mindset thing.
Yes.
Gave the reference of Koila, I mean, it is depletable. Now, what exactly happens is, you know, if the MD comes in, और जो भी हो CEO, उसका अगर 2 साल का टेन्योर है, वो सोचता है भाई हमारा तो इतना शॉर्ट टर्म, आई मीन लाइक आई एम कमिंग बैक अगेन टू दैट यू नो पॉइंट ऑफ द माइंड सेट. सो यू हैव टू शो रिजल्ट्स एंड शॉर्ट टर्म में मतलब you try to, you know, don't think on those long terms, I mean generally.
Yes, that is the problem. No? With the problem is that whether the company is driven by the CEO, okay, and each CEO will have a different perspective, or company is being driven by a policy where every CEO is going to follow it, whether it when it comes to sustainability. These are the issues. That is more important. Yes. Leaders change, but if you adopt sustainable policies and practices and you make it a ground rule that everybody has to follow it, whosoever comes have to follow it, isn't it? So, that is more important. You do not follow it because there is a regulatory norm to go for it. So, you do the minimum, right. For example, the government has made a rule that you are going to spend 2% of your profit for CSR. So, what most of the organizations are doing, they are just spending just 2%, not more than that, and that is where they are also manipulating the funds, that is happening. But you can spend more than 2%, who is going to stop you?
Again, you know, that is what I am saying. There were Indian companies like SAIL, Tata Steel who are doing it even before this mandate.
Yes, they have been doing it.
But there are some other private sector companies who are
Because see, that is the problem, no? Because your motive is only to make profit, not looking at the this planet. So, you have to go for a balanced approach. On the one hand, definitely have to satisfy your stakeholders, but this other side you also need to take care of your earth. That is where you need to educate and make them aware, conscious what will the long term consequences. Maybe I have enjoyed these resources, but what about my children, great grandchildren? Are they going to have the same set of resources?
So I want to get a perspective from you, larger perspective.
Yes.
Philosophical, since you know coming from the psychological background. Because I have a hypothesis that ये सब process technology ये manage हो जाता है.
People process is very difficult. Yes.
इसका क्या? I mean, is there a role of our education system also?
Yes.
Actually promoting, you know.
Yes. Promoting behaviors which are very important for the environment, positive behaviors, and you know there is a branch of psychology which is known as environmental psychology.
My point is that you know like this you know grades, ranking, ये सब मतलब it is not promoting some kind of selfishness approach.
Yes, definitely. See, there are two. See, I agree. There are two kind of indicators. One is quantitative ठीक है, one is qualitative. So, that is where I said that you need to adopt a more holistic approach. Just do not take certain actions based on certain parameters. Okay. Change the people, change their nature and attitude towards the use and consumption of resources, you will find a big difference tomorrow. But that is the most important thing, how to go about it. See, most of the companies what they are doing, how much amount of resources they are using, how much say CO, carbon emission norms they have gone for, what is the carbon footprint. But this can be achieved if people are conscious and aware about these things, that what would be the consequences of my actions. That is where psychology is important. So, behavioral change, attitude change is the most important thing. Okay.
Sir, regarding you are saying about the jobs, I mean that scenario is more outside India, but one kind of I mean awareness have come up among the youth, that is in the consumption of the final goods. Now when they are going to buy a certain goods, there they are wanting to find out whether it is sustainable or not,
yes,
it is eco-friendly or not. That
so that is see, that is where you need to educate and make them aware and conscious about the negative impacts,
yes,
of the use or consumption of the resources,
yes,
isn't it? And that is where we need to train them, start from the say class 9, 10 only. That is why environment has been made a subject everywhere, so that they become at least aware about, okay, these are the things. Even after being aware also, you don't sometimes don't include in those kind of behaviors or don't go for those kind of behaviors. That is also happening because one motive takes precedence over the other motive. This is happening with most of the organizations.
They feel also that my little effort, how much of change will it bring?
Yeah, but see, whether it happens or not, you should go for it. In my personal opinion, I try to see that I am going to use those resources, okay, which are going to sustain in future. Okay. For example, you are using water in your house, you open the tap, let the water flow as much as possible. When if you are having brush, how much water you are using? If you are brushing, just close the tap. But how many of are aware, conscious about these facts, right? So, the charity begins at home, right? You have to start somewhere, maybe others will follow tomorrow. Okay. So, if you think that no, not others are following, why should I? Then it is something wrong. It is a basically a very wrong assumption. I hope that you agree with me. Yes,
yes, that's
the valid point is that yes, somewhere we have to start, we have to be aware and conscious about these kind of things.
So more than theoretical knowledge, we need to.
Theoretical knowledge does not help much. You need to be very, even the practical things you have to do. How we are going to make sure that things are happening.
Yes. I will give you sir practical example.
Yes, yes.
मैं बाजार में मार्केट में जाता हूँ थैला लेके,
हाँ.
एंड आई हैव सीन पीपल दोज पीपल कि अरे भाई प्लास्टिक में तो नहीं है तो नहीं लेगा, मतलब ये आई मीन
you force the shopkeeper to give you goods in the plastic bucket, right?
हाँ, but while there are norms that you cannot use, there are some, but these shopkeepers say that भाई हमारा वो नहीं देने से वो लेगा ही नहीं, वो चला जाएगा.
That is somewhere you have to change. The shopkeepers have to say no. If you don't come with a bag, cloth bag, I will not give you the goods. And if everybody decides, things are going to change. Look at the tech market. You must have visited the local tech market in campus. Okay. Most of the faculty students go empty handed because they know that they will get the things in a plastic bag. So, this is the mentality that is to be changed, isn't it? We have a very clear rule by the institute that polythene bags below a certain standards cannot be used, but everybody is violating these norms and plastics are being used extensively, I will say. See, maybe in emergency you can make use of it, but not everywhere, not all the time. So, this is what I am talking about, the mentality, the mindset is to be changed, right?
तो वही सर तो बड़ा प्रश्न है.
That is a big problem, that is very, very important point. Okay. So, how you go about it? See, these are all quantitative things that I am talking about, but the point that you have raised, yes, that is very, very important. Needs in terms of environment, social and the economic, and then these are the drivers we have talked about. You need a good leader, champion leader, okay, and then you have to see that how you are going to sell these things to the management or the people in the organization. So, okay, so you need to convince people to go for these kind of things. Even as an institution, we have to convince the stakeholders who stay in the campus to not to use plastics, right. You know, it was banned in the tech market, but it was effective only for 15 days. Gradually, we are back to the square one. Yes, it is happening everywhere.
You imagine, you know, outside in Calcutta or
Everywhere. I mean, that is why what is happening.
so therefore there is no correlation of education or with
The education and awareness make you conscious, and maybe you may think of changing yourself, your behavior, your attitude, your mindset tomorrow. But if you do not educate and make them aware, nothing is going to happen. Whether you talk about this indicator or that indicator, does not matter, right. So, you also need structure, support, resource and competence. This is a very important point. You can see awareness, communication and document information, okay, that we have been talking about. Pathways, you have to have policy, plan about your strategies related to sustainability, also address risks and opportunities that are associated with when you go for these kind of things, because there could be resistance to change. The example that you have given, that we are using still using plastics, right. Right. Then you also look at the product life cycle. Okay. You also go for operational efficiency, and then you also monitor, measure, analyze, evaluate these things. Go for internal audit, how far you have been able to succeed. Okay. See, and actually you know that there are a lot of norms, you know, about ISO norms that is to followed related to the environment. 9001, 14001, 45001, these are the different norms that has come into existence. All these are related to the environment, okay. But the major problem is that whether you are really following these things in practice as an organization, at a later stage as an individual to start with, okay. So, how you can promote sustainability, especially in the workforce? These are some of the activities or practices that have been adopted by the organizations. Okay. Encourage remote and hybrid work, paperless, go for paperless. But what is happening? It has actually duplicated the things. You are doing things on the computer, but you are also taking a printout. I will give a very small example. Okay. As a faculty, when I apply for a leave, it is online. We have a ERP system where you apply for leave online, right. Why do not they create a system where my head approves there itself, the dean approves and the director approves it? What happens? Once you apply, you also take a printout, sign it for the documentation and then send it to the dean for the head for the signature, and head will send it to the dean for approval. What is the need? So, are we really becoming paperless? This is the issue, because we do not trust on the system. Okay. And one of the dean told me that, say, why we want your signature is because suppose you are not in the campus and you applied for a leave, okay, okay.
So
then what will happen? Or somebody else has hired your ERP and applied leave for you then, and you are in the campus. So, just want to ensure that yes, if you have applied for a leave, it is valid, you have signed it, and then well it is going to be approved. But again, basically we are not following this concept of paperless. Conserve energy, definitely, conserving water, sustainable transportation using CNG and these kind of things, right, that is increasing, or going for electric vehicles, but that is also actually there is a question mark for use of these kind of things. Reducing, reuse and recycle, okay, and also engaging the community, right. These are some of the activities that can be done at the workplace. For example, you know that sometimes we become aware and then go for Safai Abhiyan, आपको पता है ना Safai Abhiyan, स्वच्छता अभियान, and then all the students, NSS volunteers, everybody cleans the campus one day, but after 1 week you return to the same situation. What is the point?
तो सोशल मीडिया में दिखाएंगे ना वो
फोटो लगा करके झाड़ू के साथ कि हाँ हमने ये काम किया है,
बस हो गया 1 साल मतलब 6 महीना का.
doesn't matter, okay, right? See, these are the indicators that is normally followed by the industry. Environmental indicators related to material use, waste, energy, water, greenhouse gases, emissions, etc. Economic relate to profit, revenue, sales, productivity, investments, cost, turnover. Social include human rights, fair labor practices, living conditions, health, safety, wellness, diversity, equity, work life balance, empowerment, community engagement and philanthropy. Then you have integrated, where you basically integrate all these three: economic, environmental and social issues of the triple bottom line. Eco-environmental, business activities that increase economic values while increasing ecological impact of the same. Okay. What happened to this? Yeah. So, social environmental focused on environmental impacts that affect social impacts and vice versa, and serve as a tool in planning decision making process at various managerial levels within the society. And the socio-economic, the relationship between the firm's economic activities and the social impacts. So, these are the different kind of indicators that can be used to measure how sustainable an organization is. So, actually this is from a research paper, somebody has done good work on these three indicators: environmental, social and economic indicators, and for say environment they have these, and under these are the sub indicators. This I had taken from a research paper. So, you can see what are the environmental indicators. Then these are social indicators: supply chain, social innovations, labor practices, training, reporting, health and safety issues. You also have legal issues, legal aspects. Then you have economic indicators: performance, reporting, economic impact, the role, I mean how circular economy is being used, supply chain, code of conduct, operational and environmental risks. So, these are the various indicators that can be used, okay, and for each indicator there is a sub indicator, you can see. This is basically is used to measure the sustainability practices of the organization. See how things have gone. This was done by Goldman. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs issued the National Voluntary Guidelines, or what you call CSR. Then SEBI mandated top 100 listed companies by market capitalization to file business responsibility report. 2014 CSR was mandated and CSR rules came into action, Companies Act. 2015 BRR, that is business responsibility report, was extended to top 500 listed companies by market capitalization. It means that they have to go for this kind of thing. SEBI advised that IR may be adopted by companies on voluntary basis from financial year 2017-18 by top 500 companies. Then Ministry of Corporate Affairs related released this NGBRC, that is BRR was extended to top 1000 companies. Then this BRSR was introduced, not only business responsibility but also social responsibility, and 2023 200 firms published these reports. SEBI introduced new guidelines via press release from the board meeting, that what are the things that we need to go. Yes, in the next 5 minutes I will be able to finish. See, this is the average disclosure metrics for financial year 21-22 by the companies. So, I think disclosure is not bad. See, if you look at 21 to 22 data. Okay. I am not going to discuss about it, but this is something which has been talked by the government. This is the India Incorporation roadmap to sustainable future, especially related to these three parameters: environment, society and governance. And you can see the disclosure rate is not bad. how they are doing on different indicators. Okay. See, this is the outcome of what we said earlier. 88% organizations believe sustainability regulations will directly impact their business. 75%, more than 75% agreed that yes, ESG is a boardroom discussion. 90% organizations believed that its reporting will improve brand reputation. 75% organizations said that their investors rate their ESG performance. It means stakeholders are also taking it into consideration. 71% businesses agreed that their organizations voluntarily participates in ESG rating, and 60% place high level importance on establishing ambitious goals for ESG. So, how we go about it? Through R&D, partnership and collaboration, also embracing circular economy. Okay. And finally, these are the emerging trends. Integration of advanced technology, focus on circular economy, go for regulatory requirements, regulatory and reporting requirements, greater stakeholders involvement, sustainability as a strategy, scope of sustainability metrics you go for increasing that, rise of green financing is very important, emphasized on local and global actions, and increased collaboration and partnership. So, see, it is not possible to discuss everything, otherwise I could have gone through, okay, how these are going on and how companies are doing on account of this. So, you can broadly guess, okay, what is happening with different set of indicators. So, see, if you look at these two, either it is flat, no change, or it is negative. It is negative on human rights, information on safe and responsible use of products and services, there is no committee on for sustainability issues, and you do not engage vulnerable and marginalized stakeholders in the process. Okay. So, that is all for today. If you have any questions, then you can ask, otherwise we will close up the session. Okay, then thank you. I hope that we had a good interaction. But one thing, as a psychologist, for me it is very important, change yourself, your attitude and behavior and mindset, and that is going to have the biggest impact.
So,
Yes.
sir, one last,
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
Again, since you are an expert, so we have some, impact assessment for technology and others, like reporting, etc. But what you said about this behavioral aspect, do we have any specific measurements or
Yes.
those
But
things?
they are more qualitative in nature, not quantitative. In environmental psychology, we talk about impact assessments and how behavior is going to impact, okay, and how these training and development interventions make a change, significant change in the behavior of the people, and that can be measured.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
but that is, you can quantify it, but that is basically qualitative. There are measures that you can find out, that how, to what extent people are engaging in environmentally conscious behavior, you can measure it.
and how do you think, if I take the example of India, she mentioned about global report. So I am just taking in the region of Asia, India versus Japan, for
Yes.
example. Okay, if we look at the education system and that how they promote collaborativeness, but we are actually promoting more of individualism. How plus some aspects like you are aware about nuclear family, and then we are. How does that also impact the mindset of somebody?
See, the social structure is very, very important. Look at the social structure, social interaction, social relationship, family structure, these are very important things. Because you know that when we were born and brought up in joint families, the things were different. Okay? We were interrupted by our uncles, our masis, our grandfathers, don't do this. But in a nuclear family where both the couples are working, who is going to take care of the child? So these are bigger issues, okay, which you connect with this, but definitely education and environment awareness can make a big difference. That is where the family has to take a lead and take the responsibility.
Yeah, so like you said, charity begins at home.
Yeah, yes.
So at that time, and now there are, there are generation shifts.
Yeah,
and
the
so therefore
generation
that
shifts are
also
there, but still I find, but I can give you my example. I mean, I don't know, in the beginning when I was not very environmentally conscious or engaging in those behaviors which could be considered as good, but when I look at my son or my grandson, I think they are better off, they do better things. I used to throw litters anywhere, now I do not do it, but I have seen my granddaughter, she picks up a piece and if it is not to be used, she puts in the dustbin, because she has to be trained for that, she has been trained.
Very
So this is
good.
the difference.
Very good. I mentioned about a contrarian view which I see with my students.
Yeah. So that is where you need to educate and make them aware that no, this is not
But again,
the thing
sir,
that you have to do.
That age group of 19 to 23 is not the age where they will pick up those.
See, 3 to 12 is the best age
That
to
is
train
what I
them
mean.
in, because that becomes
So
a habit
that,
early.
that comes from the school level itself.
So you have to train them starting from the beginning, the moment they start doing certain things, okay. And when today schools have become more responsible, they teach them about such behavior, yes.
But then I worked as an intern for a child psychologist. So there were many cases where parents complain that schools or any educational institutions, even including preschools, do not take care of their children for longer hours. Like they want their children aged, let's say 6 or 7, to be there from 9 to 4.
No, that is not required also.
Yes, because parents are so unwilling to teach
Yeah,
their
because
children
they are engaged somewhere,
themselves.
na?
Yes.
So they have to take time out and do certain things. That's very
Yes,
important.
so they are not willing to teach
So
their
you
children
should blame the
anything.
parents, not to the say creche or any other facility which is giving certain services.
No.
Also blame organizations. There are organizations which have creches there at
Yes, yes, it is there.
Yes, and there are no transparent policies in creches and all, and parents are fine with that also, because they just want their things to get done and they want their child to be taken care of, not in a proper way, but unless
Somehow
there is
they have
not
to
a
be
mess,
taken.
it's okay.
Somehow they have to be taken care.
Yes,
So this kind of attitude,
there are no
attitude is
teachings
not good.
happening to kids.
So what
only
is happening to such children? What kind of behavior they are going to
neglected
develop?
child.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are people who earlier used to leave it with their, grandparents or somebody from the relative. Now they are leaving it through some, private, so.
Yes, it is happening. See, both my son and daughter-in-law works from 9 to 5, whatever you say, right? And the child is sent to the creche. My granddaughter is sent to the creche, but she stays there only for a few hours. She comes back, and both of them have made it sure that one of them is going to be there to take care of the child. That is very important. Then how you raise and grow your child is very important.
Parenting is a
very important. And you know that the first education comes from the family or the parents. So they have to train them what to do, what not to do. So that is where the beginning happens. I mean, this is where you are supposed to start. Okay. But you think that no, once he is grown up, then we will teach him. Not going to help. Make it a habit to do certain things in a way. That is more important for all of us. I think for the younger generation that is more important, okay, to take care of their environment. Okay. So, okay, thank you.